Hey everybody, and welcome to Marketing in a Digital Age. This is such an important thing. I can't stress it enough. People a lot of times don't understand how integral and important marketing online is to your business. A lot of people rely on word of mouth or other things like that. So I've got some experts here to help answer your questions. We're going to share a lot about the process between creating something and then getting it out there. So I've got Mike Healy here. He only does everything. This guy's started multiple companies. I've known him forever. He used to do a lot of cage fighting and stuff, and I would not ever want to get in the ring with this guy. But yeah, this is Mike Healy. He's also my father-in-law, so that's kind of another little added thing there. And then we've also got Dietrich here. Dietrich's been involved in marketing for like 20 years. He's worked with hospitals, and so he understands the difference between just trying to get your product out and also making sure you're sensitive to people that are in need. So Dietrich's an amazing part of our team. He helps market everything that you see here. Both of these guys actually are involved in marketing the Provision Conference. So we know they do their job well because you're here right now. So, and then for me, myself, I'm Tom Cassie, and I actually am the Chief Media Officer here for all the stuff that we do at Faith Life Now. So the Ferrari video, those kinds of things, that's more what I do, me and my team. And so that's why we've got a good team up here to talk about creating something and then migrating that creative thought or whatever that content is out to the people, which is really what marketing is. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump right in, guys. From my standpoint, I have a lot of people ask me, whether it's kids involved in YouTube or people wanting to get something out on Facebook, they're always talking to me about, like, how do I get started? So let's just go ahead and jump right into that. How would someone get started if they have no experience at all with marketing? I'm sure the first thing you're going to probably say is hire you, right? But because it's a tough thing to learn. But let's talk about the beginning of the life cycle of when you develop something and then getting it out there from scratch. Let's go square one.
Square one, straight from scratch, huh?
Absolutely.
You want me to start?
Go ahead.
Okay. I'd say probably the biggest thing that one of the things is to watch examples of what's already working. A lot of people throw in marketing terms, they throw the word around called hack or reverse engineer or things like that, or model. That's the word. A lot of people don't like, obviously we don't plagiarize anything, but you model something that works. And one of the things that I've always done is how I actually got started in marketing was I started watching some people that were very impressive with what they were doing. They were getting all kinds of results, and I was like, man, that really looks like it's pretty amazing, because I've just come to realize that for quite some time, there was been, before the internet age, I guess you could say, we've kind of lived in a blockbuster world, right? We would agree that it's been a blockbuster world, and those types of, stereotypical techniques have always worked, but we're now officially in a Netflix world. And a lot of people, if they don't adapt to what's going on in media or in marketing specifically, using media as the kind of the vehicle to get the message across, I think they're going to get crushed. And if you know these things, you literally look like a superhero when you implement them correctly. So that's kind of my beginner's 2 cents on that.
Sure, absolutely. And just to piggyback off of what you were saying, right now in the digital age, in marketing, there's a level playing field. So when I say a level playing field for small businesses, the medium-sized businesses, the large businesses, previously to where we're at right now in the digital age, traditional marketing was all you had: billboards, newspapers, TV, which was very expensive. So right now, no matter the size of your business, we're at a level playing field where you can be able to use the YouTubes, the Facebooks at a small budget and be very effective, and also target the audience that you're looking for. One thing that I would say when jumping out of the gate with your business: know your brand, know who you are, your brand, know your audience, know your competitors as well, and know your industry. A lot of times when I previously came to Faith Life Church, I worked for a hospital. Marketing for a hospital is totally different than marketing for a ministry. Yeah. So you have to learn your brand, you have to learn your industry. That's the foundation. So when you want to get to the Facebooks and to the digital marketing, you kind of know your niche and you kind of know where your lane's going to be.
Yeah, that's good. That kind of brings up another point for me, and that's for a lot of people that are asking, what do I make? Like, some people don't even know their brand yet enough to make any content, and that I would say it goes full circle. Excuse me. You don't want to create something until you understand what it is that you're trying to make. And the reason that you do, the way you solve that is to just think about who you're trying to reach. Like you said, your target. Because if you don't know your target, then you're not going to understand who you're trying to create content for. So for any young, maybe you're not entrepreneurs, but you're more social media influencers, and you're like, how would I go about making my footprint? Because there's a lot of social media marketing or social media influencers that are making millions of dollars a year. Like PewDiePie and some of these guys that some of you know about, some of you don't. I'm not endorsing his content, but I'm saying these guys, even Joe Rogan and some of these guys have learned to adapt, but they still know who their brand is. PewDiePie started streaming stuff for gamers. He knew that was his brand. He hit the market at the right time, which is something else we could talk about, is also timing when you talk about competition, which I think I'll let you talk about that. Getting your product to market first, or being the first in your area, or changing your brand in such a way that you're the only one that's doing it, or the only couple that are doing it, is so key. But when we're talking about content creation, know who you are, and this is an easy way for you to figure out who your market is. Make something for yourself, because the only thing that's going to be truer than anything else is going to be what you're making for yourself. And Gary Vee and some of these guys out there, again, using a lot of language, not endorsing them, but some guys are doing it at a high level. But on Instagram, he knew his market. He knew his brand. He was making content for people like him. And I think that's the biggest thing you can do, is to go, who am I trying to reach? Well, I know myself. I know what I need, what kind of videos I need, or what entertains me. And I'm going to make stuff for people like me. And you're going to be the most real that way, the most relevant to people that you do reach. And you're not trying to be anything you're not. Because we all know, we've seen when people are something that they're not, it comes through that way on video. And you're like, I don't think I'm going to keep watching this. And you don't always necessarily know why. It's just something you can feel. But when someone's genuine, you may go through 15 minutes of the same angle the entire time. It's not about just production. So that's one thing. I'm clearing up all the media side of it, because I get these questions. Well, should I add more production value? Maybe if I had 10 drone shots, and then maybe like a guy, trucking through the shot, and have all these different things, will that draw people's attention? I would say it doesn't hurt, but the key is what you're actually saying. And Mike, you always say this all the time, content is king. You're always saying it's about the content. I mean, if you look at some of these guys, they're holding their cell phone up, and they're talking to their cell phone for 15 minutes, and you're listening to every word because they're engaging and they believe in what they're saying. And I think that's so key.
I'm going to actually jump in on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So one of the other, I think, biggest aspects is, let's go back a little bit. Let's take a step back. Is when people are looking to get a marketing campaign going, a lot of times is once you said, Dietrich, that they have to know their audience.
Absolutely.
It's called creating what they call an avatar, basically who your perfect person is. Because if you don't eventually niche down, you try to become a jack of all trades, and you never get anywhere. Okay. But the other thing that I've always loved about digital marketing is the fact that you can allow data to drive your decisions.
Absolutely.
And especially paid traffic to grow your business, right? So when you have data to drive your decisions, now to get to your point, is this, a lot of people don't really realize the significance of having all the content out there. Because a lot of times they think that they have to have this well-polished thing, which is such a lie, it's not even funny. But here's the cool part about digital marketing and digital technology and content, is it lives forever. It's called what we call evergreen in the business, right? Evergreen meaning that you don't have to babysit it. It becomes an employee for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It lives forever. I mean, every piece of content you put out there, you can always find it again. It will be there relevant for years and years and years. And you start to create this little digital spider web of things that they connect with. It's pretty incredible. I mean, that's one of the main things that we've focused on here that's been working.
Absolutely. And just to piggyback again off of what you were saying, when it comes to data is key. We're in an age nowadays that data drives everything. Years ago, you couldn't really look at any data to make any educated decisions of how you want to spend your money. So right now, if you're running a campaign on YouTube or Facebook or any other outlet, you can go on the back end and you can see how your money's working. You can shift based off of the performance to different campaigns. So right now, you can actually look at the data and make a very data-driven decision on your videos and looking at the analytics and making sure that you're reaching the audience and that your money, that you're getting ROI on what you're putting into it. So that's very key. And also, right now, there's so many videos out there to learn how to look at data, to learn how to get onto Facebook and how to run campaigns on Facebook, how to run campaigns on YouTube. So I challenge everybody. It's not hard. They've made it very easy for you to learn it. And once you get into the system and once you learn those things, you don't have to hire anybody and pay them a ton of money to run your campaigns. You can learn yourself at a high level, and you'll be able to get ROI on what you're trying to accomplish.
That's good. That kind of brings up step 2. So let's say we've made our content, we've created it, we're working on getting it out. Let's get a little more detailed. Let's dive in a little deeper.
Sure.
And we're not going to be able to answer all your questions today. This guy I know has a training system that's out there that helps people, and he'll probably be able to connect you to other people that are teaching people how to market and do those things. And Dietrich, I'm sure you as well. So what our goal is today is to give you a snapshot of all these things so that you know what to expect from other marketers, what to ask people. That's so important because a lot of people, I was just meeting with a company a couple days ago, and they're like, yeah, we have no idea any of the stuff you guys do. They're like, we don't know how to plug in a camera. We don't understand what the cameras do. Like, how do we shoot it? Like, from that point all the way to the end, they had no clue, but these guys are running a $1 billion company. So there's a lot of, also for those that want to get in this market, there's a lot of business out there. Like, marketing has kind of become the Wild West all over again because of the digital age. Billboards are great. TV, radio, these things that we understand, they still work to a level, but let's be honest, people are cutting the cord. People aren't tuning in like they used to television or any of those platforms. Everything has migrated to the digital age.
Yes.
And a lot of us saw this coming. I know you did. We were talking like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and you're like, yeah, everything's going to be online. Everyone's going to have apps, and that's how they're going to just operate. Because we saw Netflix, and you could see the writing on the wall for people that were ready to adapt. And I do think that's one other point I want to make is that adapting, what you guys both mentioned, is adapting to the information that you're trying to get out there, the data.
Sure.
So you may start with something, and I'm going to let you guys drill in. Let's say we've got our content. We put something up. What do we do from there? We run ad campaigns. Like, let's just talk a little bit. Let's assume that you guys have no idea what an ad campaign is, or the life cycle of an ad, or how you guys respond back and forth to the response that you're getting from people. Let's just talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
Okay, so I'll go first. I guess the thing that I would identify is let's take hypothetically a business, okay? And our business markets a widget, okay? So we'll just be totally generic. And what I would typically do is I would take the time to identify what my product/service does for people, because people don't buy details, they buy benefits. And that's a huge thing that people don't understand when it comes to content and marketing is people buy benefits. They want to know who they're going to become, what they're going to get, what are the results and stuff like that. So if you start there, one of the easiest campaigns that I really strategically put everything around now is I typically start with what they call a pillar piece. Basically, it's like your big speech. Okay, so let's say I had a product and I was going to sit down at a table and I was going to tell you all the benefits about it, explain how it did all this, and that would be like something that I would just sit and videotape, right? Whether it was just on my camera, most people don't realize you can use your your phone, your iPhone or whatever, to make great videos. And then what I would do is I would have that as my pillar piece, and then I would do what we call splintering. Basically, I would start to micro content, because a lot of people get intimidated when we say put content out there, put content. They think they've got to be creative, when in fact you don't. If you make like one thing, what I do is I'll typically start with a Facebook Live video, okay, because it pushes it out there. And then after the Facebook Live video gets going, what's nice about that is then I can pull that, I can download that video, upload it to YouTube. I can then take it and I can extract the audio and create a podcast out of it. I can then transcribe it and create a blog post out of it, or a book giveaway, or think of something like that. So it's just thinking about your benefits first and foremost, as to what your business is all about, what your product or service is, what's the benefit somebody's going to get, and then you start to put your campaign together, and it becomes easier and easier. And the nice part is each thing builds on the next thing. So I'll toss it over to you, Dietrich. And
Sure. Absolutely. And like you were saying, benefit is key. Everybody's looking for a benefit. One thing that I've always modeled it, I said it's called FAB, feature, application, benefit. What's the feature? What's the application you're going to use, and how it's going to benefit that person? So just always remember when you're making these campaigns, FAB is the way that you want to go: feature, application, benefit. And like he says, once you start splitting out this content, it's going to be there forever. People are going to find it. A big thing that you have to always remember is your call to action. Once you capture those people, you want to have a clear call to action. What action do you want them to take by watching your video? You don't want to just have somebody watch your video and that's it. You want to have a strong call to action. If you're leading them to a website to get information, if you're leading them to a product, you want to make sure it's very explicit in any videos, your tagging, your keywords. A lot of that is very important, that you have a strong call to action. If you're leading them to a landing page just for whatever your product or whatever your information is, nowadays it's easy to create websites. They have so many platforms out there, not endorsing any, from Wix to Duda, WordPress. It's very easy to create your websites, and make sure you always have a clear call to action for your videos and for your media that you have out there. Because if you put that out there and you have, say, 200,000 people that are looking at your video or at your media, if you don't have a strong call to action, you're not going to reap anything from that. So it's very important that you always want to have a strong call to action when you're putting all these medias at the various on the various places on the web.
That's good.
Yep.
That kind of reminded me of something else that I learned from a company called StoryBrand. Again, not endorsing.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any affiliation with them,
Mm-hmm.
and we're not responsible for anything that they say or whatever. But they have some incredible teaching as it relates to, because I come at it from more the film side, the creative side.
Mm-hmm.
That's why this team works really well together. And I did take I went to marketing school and all those kinds of things. I have a bachelor's degree, so I do understand both sides. But I have nowhere near the knowledge or the mindset that these guys do, and that's why I rely on good guys to help make something happen. But from a film standpoint, if you look at every famous major film that's out there that has succeeded in the last 25 years, you see that there's a hero in most of those stories. The Matrix, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, any of these movies that have really hit it big, there's a formula to that. It's called the hero's journey, and there's a reason that the hero's journey works so well. When you look at any superhero movie, it's a person that doesn't have a plan or whatever, doesn't know what they're going to do with their life, but they're feeling some kind of call to greatness, and that's the hero. You're the hero. That's the key. The key to marketing is whoever your audience is, that's the hero. If you talk about yourself the entire time, you will begin to turn your audience off, because inside of every person is a big sign that says, make me feel special, I'm the hero. And so this is the formula. A hero meets a guide. The guide is you. As the marketer, you're the guide. As the company, you're the guide. You're saying, you're Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're Gandalf. You have the plan. So that's the next part. A hero meets a guide with a plan. He presents them with a plan that calls them to action, which is the next step. That's what you were talking about, which is the call to action that results in either failure or success. So failure is a really strong marketing tool. Like if you were running a hospital, and you'll see people do this, and I'm not saying use fear and those kinds of things to market, but we always want to show the positive. But one of the strongest things you can market as a company is to show a picture of what somebody's life would look like without your product. And that's just a quick tip that will get you way ahead of everybody else, because let's say you have a lawn mowing company and you're showing your guys mowing the lawn and everything with excellence. That's good, and you definitely want to put that in the end of your video once you've kind of already hooked them. But it's better to show how it's going to result in failure. So their lawn is horrible, or you have a video of some teenage guy with headphones on running over all the flowers, and then it cuts to a thing like, you don't want this to happen. Call guys that know what they're doing. So that's going to appeal to people way more than if you were to just show someone professional trying to do what they're doing. So again, a hero, that's your audience, meets a guide, and there's two things you have to have with a guide, and that's empathy and authority. If you can't relate to your audience as the guide, they're not going to follow you. And then authority is you saying, I know what I'm doing. So what you want to immediately do, like if I was presenting myself, I'd say, or my company, you could say, Tom Casey Enterprises. Well, that won't probably be a good example, but basically you would want to get authority and empathy immediately. Like a good example would probably be Mike Healy knows what it's like to not understand the digital marketing world. He's learned over the last 20 years how to take he struggled forward and figured out a plan that will basically get you from where you are today to becoming the most successful marketer in the nation. Whatever. That's just an example. But what you've done is you've set up him as the guide. He said something about, and you actually could start with a sentence saying, are you feeling stressed out? Or are you feeling like you're failing? Now you're connecting to that hero. It's like the movie where he's walking through the alley and there's someone that says, hey, let me help you out. Like some random, if you watch movies, every movie like has a random guy that pulls them out of their situation. The Matrix. Neo meets Morpheus. You know, Gandalf shows up out of nowhere and says, Frodo, we got to go on this journey. I'm going to help you out. Because inside of all of us, we want to be great. There's greatness inside of every person, and so that appeals to you. You can use that same tool to reach anybody. It's an easy formula you can use for anything. Pop-Tarts even has a little guide on the back of the Pop-Tart that's a 3-step. Because that's the other thing you want to know is that every call to action, it's so important you have a call to action, even if it's something that people already understand. Like Coca-Cola, they put a call to action. How to use the can, how to open it. Pop-Tart has a 3-step thing. It says open the package, put it in the toaster, and the 3rd step is enjoy. Like enjoy it.
Yeah.
They don't have to tell you how to enjoy it. People understand how to eat, but they know that 3 steps helps people in their brain. There's something that goes off when there's a 3-step program. You go, oh, I do this, and then I'm successful. So I'm shotgunning a bunch of stuff, but to me, that's such a key for anybody that's like, I don't even know my brand or how to figure it out. Well, you're the guide. So think about how you want to guide people to the next step. And then the plan has to be that 3-step plan. I mean, it doesn't have to, but it's very helpful if you do, because I see sometimes there's 5 steps. I know Taya Lopez has the 64 steps. He did that on purpose to basically say everybody is trying to come up with a 5-step or 3-step program. So he was doing that as a marketing tool to go, no, I've got 64 steps. But then the book is basically simple. It's like C step 2, C step 3. Like it ends up being not as many steps as it sounds like, but a 3-step in your plan is so important. Go online. This would be it right now. If we were going to sell this, we could say, are you tired of struggling with digital marketing? Are you stressed out? Well, these guys know what it's like. For 30, 40 years, we've struggled to figure out the keys to success in digital marketing. And now we're offering that to you for free of charge, the first month of whatever we're selling. Sign up now, and then we'll give you the 3 steps. I presented you the plan, which is go to get our system that we were selling. And then the 3 steps would be go online, log in, or create a login, and succeed, or something like that. That 3rd step doesn't have to be an actual step. It's literally just and enjoy your life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of my brain in a nutshell, how I think. Everything I do relates to the hero's journey. The Ferrari video you've seen. Pastor is the hero in that story, right? But he represents something more to the audience. He represents you. When you're watching it, you cheer because you know what it's like to struggle, and you see him get the Ferrari and he takes off, and everyone wants to cheer because we want to root for success because we're hoping it's possible for us. So that's just a key sentiment in marketing. Let's talk a little bit more about, you said, I think you said like fragmented idea or splintering. Let's talk about, that reminded me of something. There are many different ways or things out there that are available to market right now. We've got print. We've got, let's just we'll open the floodgates, and I'll let you give everyone a snapshot of what it looks like to run maybe even just the ministry at this level. Because you've got web, you've got print, which I know this is digital, but I would like to talk about it because there are some people that are only doing print. And there may be some of you that are watching this that go, oh, these guys didn't say anything that's going to change my world. I'm already doing all those things. So I'd rather give you guys a snapshot of all the things, because I think we're in a time where you have to do everything. Like you got to do it all, and if you want to make an impact.
And just to kind of reiterate what you were saying, one thing, and I'm going to kind of jump back when you were talking about the lawn companies. One thing that know your industry and know your brand, you have to make yourself different than everybody else. There's a million lawn companies out there. So am I thinking if you're a lawn company and you, for instance, say you use all natural products, that's your lane. Market to those people because it's all natural products. You know, if you look at Whole Foods is in business because they're healthy. So that's why people relate. So I just wanted to reiterate on that because it's very key. When you look at your brand, find how am I different than anybody else? So with saying that, when it comes to splintering, you have to learn the difference, your traditional, and then you have to learn your digital. With traditional, you have your radio, you have your TV, you have your billboards, you have your print, you have your newspaper. Those things are still valuable in this day and age, but you have to know what you're using it for. For instance, for the church, billboards, you'll use the billboard, like there's a billboard not far from the church here, right off of the interstate. We use that when we're having an Easter program, because there's people in the area that's going to see it. It relates. I wouldn't use that billboard to say, for instance, if I'm promoting something that is more nationwide, I'm going to use it because it's a target audience, because I know people that are here locally is going to resonate with them. So you have to learn how to use those vehicles in the way that you're going to reap the benefit. So like for newspapers, you can use newspapers. We want to put information, like even for provision or something like that, we may use the newspapers. But you got to look at your checks and balances and say, okay, if I'm spending X amount of dollars for a newspaper ad, say $2,000, how many people are going to be able to read the newspaper? Am I going to be able to track how many people did it? If I took that $2,000, I could take that, I could put it on YouTube, I could put it on Facebook, I might be able to reach, let's say, 10,000 people. So you have to look at all those avenues and see how it's going, and that's how we kind of use it for the ministry. We look, okay, what are we trying to achieve? What's the end goal? If I'm using this $2,000, will I reap more benefit using it for digital, or would I use it for a radio ad, or would I use it for something else? So when I talk about using it for the digital side, one thing about digital, you can retarget, which is huge. I know we haven't talked about retargeting. So for instance, if I were to use that $2,000 and I did a digital campaign, I can retarget all of those people and I can stay in front of them continuously. So that's very key in reference to using the digital and learning how to splinter out and capturing people. And right now, digital is key. I'm a big digital guy over traditional, because a lot of times you can track those people, you can grow your audience, versus with traditional, you put that up on the billboard, after a month or whatever, it's gone. Versus with digital, it's evergreen. So, I mean, you have to look at traditional radio. Like right now, we're running certain things for local, for services, for the church and for the ministry. That resonates. It makes sense for me to run a radio ad versus doing something else that I want to go nationwide, So there has to be a lot of checks and balances on how much are you paying and what's your ROI going to be.
Yeah. And another thing that we do is migrate people from those traditional things to the digital.
Exactly. So you're called, and that goes back to call to action. Exactly. I'm glad you brought that up. So say if I am running a billboard, I'm gonna have a strong call to action. If it's a website, I know those people that are gonna see the call to action website, they're gonna go to the website. Once they go to the website, I can retarget them, and then I'll know, okay, I got them. I can stay in front of them with ads, with certain campaigns. So I'm glad you brought that up, because definitely you always want to have a strong call to action, even if you're doing traditional, to lead them to the digital world. That way you can stay in front of them. And it's very key to have certain landing pages and customs URLs so you can track them. So say if they go to a website, FLC, I'm just throwing this out there, Faith Life Church / provision, and I know that particular URL is only put on billboards. When I get that traffic, I'll know, okay, I got all these people from billboards. So it's very important to know where you're tracking these people from, even from traditional, bringing them over to digital.
That's good. That brings up another thing, and I'm going to let you share about this, because I think you're probably one of the best I know at doing this, and that is gaining your audience. So like building a funnel and starting that with different ways to capture audiences online before, like kind of you're bringing them in, but these people are coming from wherever, on Facebook and different things like that. Like, let's just talk about lookalike audiences and all that stuff that you do so well, and even maybe the free. I know he does this really well. Is like a free offer for something. And then let's just kind of talk about how that builds your team or your base.
Okay. So I'm going to go way back to what you said a little bit ago about the journey. Basically, what's nice about understanding this is if you just really put it in your head that ultimately all you're doing is you're telling someone a story. You're using the hero journey. I mean, what people don't realize is all the TV shows we watch are really just very well orchestrated marketing campaigns. And you can see based on what ads you see on these TV shows. You know what I mean? Like a hospital ad, you'll see 40 drug ads in the same thing. But anyhow, let me go back to your. But it was a good point.
It is.
That if you don't get that first, you don't understand where you're going. So you have to have a customer journey. But typically what I do is I use something, I kind of call it a broad audience, would be my beginning stage. So a funnel is just is a sequence of basically touch points that get somebody from point A to point B. You got to know where they're going. And so what I typically do is I start out with something similar to like, let's say a free book giveaway or PDF giveaway. And then what I do is I just walk them down through the journey. So if I know so I send a ton of cheap traffic. And when I mean cheap, it's inexpensive because it's fairly broad to a target market to maybe download something. But then immediately I give them something of value. The next thing that I do is if I have like what they call pixels on the page, a lot of times I'll hit them up with Facebook ads, what they call retargeting audiences. But the next thing after that is I give them I've gotten them to do something there with the free opt-in. I then would walk them to maybe a little more detail explanation. So as an example, if I'm giving a cookbook out, right? Let's say we're just use cookbooks. Okay, I'm a baker and I'm giving out a cookbook. I would give away my free cookbook with 10 recipes. Well, then I might then send them to another page that had a video where I explained more in detail, and maybe I gave them a demonstration of this and got them really engaged. And then I would take them to the next step. And basically, you can track all these things. I mean, each one of your pages and each one of your videos can have pixels on them and retargeting codes and all that stuff. So you kind of just broad base everything, send it here, and a funnel just takes you down. Basically, the traffic you get here is going to be 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, regardless of where you're at. It seems like it works out like that all the time.
So that's another thing. Everyone keep note, because I hear this a lot. People are like, well, we put something out and maybe they even say we copied so-and-so or we did exactly what they did, but we're not getting the same traction. We had this many people come in and we lost like only 10% of them signed up. And I always want to turn to those people and I go, like, you did it. Someone signed up. Those are your people. You can't worry about everybody if you're going to be good at marketing your product. You really do have to look at, okay, who responded to this, and then you double down on that response and go, let's target more people like that, which is what you're king at, one of the best I know at doing that. And maybe in the beginning you don't know your audience, and you're just to do a full conversational orbit, to start back at the beginning, you don't know anything like that. You may not even have a book yet. Start with just social media content. Open a page that is an enthusiast site for whatever it is you're into, baseball cards. I was watching Gary Vee again. I don't endorse Gary Vee. I don't endorse what he stands for. He uses some language, so be careful if you're going out there to look for his stuff. But he is a genius at taking passion points and turning them into dollars. And he will take his phone, he'll go to garage sales, and he'll just buy stuff. This is the thing he's been doing recently to show people how easy it is to make extra money. Because people are like, well, I can't start a business. I don't know how to do that. He's like, have you ever sold anything at a garage sale? They're like, yeah, you have a business. So he will literally just go to garage sales, buy baseball cards or whatever he can find when he knows it's worth way more than these people are selling it for. And he flips those things just to show people how easy it is. But he uses those passion points to reach the people that he's trying to sell those baseball cards to. So they may be watching his video, and this is the genius thing about it. They're watching him find it for, cents on the dollar. But those enthusiasts are now inclined to buy it from him because they're like, oh, man, I want that baseball card. I've been looking for it forever. They already know the value. They don't care that he got it for less. They know that they want it, and they've been looking for it. So he'll literally flip it and sell it to the audience that's watching him. That's key. So for those that are just trying to start from nothing and you don't even know what it is you want to do, Facebook selling wall is a great way to make extra cash. I know that I've made an extra $1,000 a month. You have to grind. But you can do it. You can make that extra cash just selling stuff online. You find it. I found, this is a true story, I found broken shovels and a bunch of like old farm stuff that's like, it was completely useless, rusted out pieces of just steel. And I ended up making $1,000 off selling all those things. There was like an old World War II gas tank. Like I just found all this random stuff and I was like, this stuff's gotta be, I can sell it to somebody. And I kid you not, every single piece of that farm equipment sold. The last lady in New Albany actually bought it. And she came in and bought all the broken shovels and hose and stuff. She's like, I make characters out of them. She's like, I'm looking for broken shovels and things, and I'll paint pictures or faces on them, and I build these little characters off of them. And I was like, you can literally sell anything because there's a market for that. Absolutely. You could literally go find broken shovels, ask all your neighbors, do you have any old vintage farm stuff or broken shovels? Turn around and sell it to people like her that are crafting things, and she's making money off her crafts. So find a pipeline and stick with it. But Is there anything you guys want to add, like maybe some closing thoughts? I know we've talked about a lot of things. We kind of went, there's so many things we didn't cover, and I know that because I've sat down with you guys before when you're like, Tom, we need to do this. I mean, these guys could talk for hours, and I do encourage you to check out MikeHealy.com. Is that what it is? Training.com. He's got a lot of good stuff on there. And Dietrich, I mean, he's around. If you guys ever want to talk to him, I'm sure you'll run into him at some conference or next thing when we're all together. And I don't know, we probably should create a site or an email where partners could ask us questions that relate to their businesses.
We'll definitely do that.
I just had this idea just randomly. So for Inner Circle partners, we could create a website, or not a website, an email that you guys could literally source your questions, and we will not be able to answer all of them, but we may be able to point you in the right direction down the road, where we could say, hey, go check out this guy, like we did today. Go check out StoryBrand, or go check out these guys. They have a lot of good stuff to learn. And I can't guarantee a quick turnaround because I'm doing this on the fly. And I don't want Dietrich looking at me with deer in the headlights like, what are you saying? But we care a lot about you guys.
Absolutely.
Everything that we talk about when we're meeting is how can we reach people with this good message. We believe I guess that's another thing. Believe in what you're selling.
Absolutely.
Because we both know, all of us know what it's like to sell something you don't believe in. If you do that, it's a miserable road, because not only do you know that there's a life cycle to what you're selling because other people will not believe in you, but you're literally selling something you don't believe in, which is kind of hypocritical. It's hard to do that. We equate it to car salesmen or life insurance salesmen, which both great industries. Just find the product you care about in that industry, and you'll make way more money selling it. My dad has a financial company. I've sat with him for years and years since I was a little boy, watching him. The guy he never sells anything. He just cares about the people. I've never seen him go, well, you need to get this product right now. He's the most laid back. You guys know him. That's the way he is in business too. And he's just like, well, you can go with the competition or whatever this is, but I'm telling you're going to lose money. And I know, I care about you. And I've seen so many people just be like, okay, where do I sign? So that's important. But yeah, we care about you guys. And we're not trying to, this ministry is not trying to sell anything we don't believe in. We believe 100% in every single thing that we put out there. Pastor's message, I talk with Pastor Drinda and Pastor Gary, my parents, and every conversation is how can we get this message out? So we're passionate about that. And we appreciate you partners for helping us be a part of, or together we're getting the message out. Because when you guys donate, when you give money, what you do arms us to run our campaigns. So we look at every dollar seriously, because we never know what one of you is going through when you may give that money in faith. So we take it serious, and I know Dietrich big time does. He comes to me and he'll be like, I think we should spend this money over here because there's more people responding that need help or whatever. Like, we look at those things to make sure that we're getting, allocating the things where we need to. So anyway, we appreciate you guys. I think we could get that website up or that email up. I did it again, but we can't run a whole website yet. But we have so many things in store for you guys. Even all these new digital things that we've offered in the last couple of years. Provision Institute, Happy Life for Women. The 24/7 station is running right now. We've got 5 different channels up there.
Yes, we do.
We're on Roku now. This is, I guess, a shameless plug, because I want you guys to get this content. We got podcasts. The YouTube videos are going up regularly. So between us three, we're trying to get that stuff out there. And I encourage you guys to go take advantage of it. Pastor's message, the Word of God, there's no better training than the Word of God. So we can teach you stuff night and day. These guys could tell you hours and hours of things. But the biggest thing is, what has God called you to do in this time? And how are you going to get it out there? It comes second to that. But what has God called you to do? So key. As Christians, God has a specific calling for each and every one of you, and you have to walk in that. That's where the money will follow, because God always brings provision for the vision that He's given you.
Amen.
So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Closing thoughts, guys.
Sure, absolutely. I just want everybody to stay encouraged. I know we're in challenging times right now, but I want you all to know to always think where there's a need, there's always opportunity. So now if you're, some of us are isolated, we're at home. If you think of what the needs may be right now in this time, you can always turn that into an opportunity. And God will definitely reveal those things to you. And I mean, you don't have to be out and about to reach people. You could do it. We're in a digital age. So I want you all to be encouraged. And like you said, we'll have that email address set up. And if you have questions, we're here to answer any questions. And we're definitely praying for you all. And I know you're praying for this ministry, and you've sowed a seed into this ministry, and we'll continue to partner together.
Yeah.
Final words would be yourself. Don't complicate the thing, because people do business with people they know, like, and trust. That's kind of the big MO that everybody talks about. And just be yourself, have fun with it, and just start. That's where you just begin the journey, and pretty soon you'll, if you throw out a 200-piece puzzle onto the table, it looks kind of scary at first. But once you get the corners put in place and you start to get together and you have a picture of what that puzzle is going to look like at the end, it eventually comes together, and pretty soon it's just like, wow, this is amazing, and everything kind of becomes automated and a lot more fun.
Awesome. All right, guys. So we've talked a lot of about a lot of stuff here, and I would say what he just said is the greatest call to action of this thing which is start.
Yes.
Whatever you're going to do, just do it. And Facebook is the front porch of the future. It's what you used to think, oh, just go door to door. Just get out there, start commenting on things. Gary Vee, he always says comment 5 times on different people's posts. We forget that comments are just as important as posting, because you're engaging with people. You're being yourself. That's the key. Having fun, getting out there as your company grows. Get out there, comment, and look for who God's called you to reach. So thank you guys so much. That's all the time we have. We're actually a little bit over time, but we appreciate you guys, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.